Hello friends, my name is Abhay Kumar and today we are going to talk about the issue of tuberculosis. Yesterday on March 24th, the world observed the World TB Day and today my guest is Vikas Bajpayee, who is assistant professor at Center for Social Medicine, which is the part of a School of Social Sciences where we are sitting in JNU. And let me first introduce my guest. Vikas Bajpayee has been an MBBS doctor. He had specialized in cancer and he had studied radiotherapy for in the working class area. He has worked for 12 years and after that he got shifted to academics. Now he is teaching social medicine at JNU and his articles have been published in several reputed journals. Some of them are Asian Journal of Public Health, Global Journal of Public Health, Advances in Public Health, and the National Medical Journal of India. His books on food and security have been and health have been published by Akar, and broadly Bajpayee ji has been interested in the dimensions, the correlations between food and security and the health. Thank you very much for joining and finding time to talk with us, sir.
Thank you, Abhay. Thank you for having me for this talk. I'm very happy to be talking on.
So, sir, March 24 was observed as World TB Day. And I was just going through newspaper reports, and it says that in India, in 2020, the report is related to year 2020. It says that around 80 lakh people died of TB in India in the year 2019. Global TB report also says that there are around 26 lakhs cases of TB reported in India. So my first question is, why there is so less attention being paid to TB? And one of our friends with whom we are just talking, he said that now the TB narrative is completely out of the discourse. Why?
First of all, I'd correct you, it's not 80 lakh deaths. 80 lakh deaths might be worldwide figure for it.
Okay.
In India, it is around 4.5 lakh or so deaths on account of tuberculosis alone.
Okay, so 4 to 5 lakh people died in India and 80 lakh figure is that of world.
Could be that of world. Okay. For India, it is around 4 to 5 lakh, and that is estimated. And estimates in with respect to health and all in India are always underestimates. We should be very mindful of this fact. Secondly, why tuberculosis is not existing? If I could answer in just one sentence, then the answer would be because it is a disease of the poor. Okay. But I think a little more detailed explanation is required for that. You see, what happened with respect to major infectious diseases, maybe like tuberculosis, measles, typhus fever, and all these major infectious diseases. In the Western countries, if you see, there is research by Thomas McEwen, whereby he showed that more than 90% of the decline in the incidence and prevalence of these conditions had happened before the first intervention of modern medicine was available against these diseases. So that means more than 90% of tuberculosis as a public health problem had vanished in Western countries before even the first test for TB or first antibiotic effective against TB was available. Okay, so it brings home the importance of social conditions, for health and well-being of the people.
Social conditions means housing, food.
Yes, everything. Social conditions means structural issues regarding economy, society, culture, all of this.
It's not just medicine, you just take it and you will be cured.
It is most unfortunate that the way things are projected by the highest and the mightiest on the land. You know, our first conception of health starts with a hospital, with a doctor, with a nurse, forgetting that you don't go to hospital when you are healthy. You go to a hospital, you seek the services of a doctor when you fall sick. Okay, so when you are not sick, what maintains the health of the people? Okay, now what has happened is, no doubt, I mean, in Western countries, all these major infectious diseases, they declined with improvements in living standards of the people. In England, McEwen documents that of all the living conditions, the availability of food itself, availability of food itself was the one major factor which resulted in decline in many of the infectious diseases. Right? Now, here we are in 21st century.
In India, bullet
In
train is
India,
running.
we are set to be, I mean, भारत स्वावलंब होगा और पता नहीं क्या क्या उसके साथ adjectives and those kind of descriptions are there.
World power.
But it is not my allegation or something. The latest government data itself, which is of pre-COVID time, it shows that malnutrition is increasing in the country, in 17 major states of the country.
Sir, please repeat this point. That's in 17
Major states of this country, which include populated states, the most populous states like
Uttar Pradesh.
Bihar, West Bengal. Okay, these are most dense, among the more densely populated states. They are included in this. Okay. In 2009, the State Hunger Index report brought about by IFPRI, International Food Policy Research Institute, it had placed, in terms of hunger, it had placed Punjab in the category where the state of hunger was serious. Okay, so, and that is the most well-fed state of India.
So is it not irony?
It's an irony, but the point is, who bothers about all of this? Okay, why? Because it is the poor who die. Where do they die? They die in their slums, in their shanties, in their huts. They die a quiet death. Nobody is interested in documenting that death. Whereas, if it is COVID, okay, the poor had no option. You know, it was a sheer luxury for them to visualize that they will quietly sit at home and take life as it comes. It panicked those sections most who were well-to-do, you know, who feared, oh God, what will happen? And why I say so? Because I say so because of the kind of solutions that were imposed. Lockdown.
Sir, we will take that question. Friends, the reason why Center for Community Health is so important for JNU and for whole of the world, for whole of this country, is that the questions of medicine and health cannot be reduced to the questions of just test and scientific test and the activities of laboratory and operations theater. It has its connections with society and structure as well. And here Professor Vikas Bajpayee becomes very important because he is not talking about health issue in isolation. He is looking at that issue in connections with food, how we live, what is the policy of the government, and so many other things. Sir, we will take up the questions of COVID in a while. The second questions which I had in mind, I think you have partly answered it. What are the hurdles? What are the hurdles that we are not able to let's say remove or eradicate tuberculosis while we are talking about sending rockets, big rockets in sky or in space, and also running the bullet train? Why we are not curing, removing tuberculosis that can be done so easily?
Abhay, the irony of irony is that some of the most pioneering work in tackling tuberculosis as a public health problem was done in India initially.
Initially?
Yes. The the person who founded Center for Social Medicine Community Health, Dr. D. Banerjee, he had been one of the leading scientists involved in the framing of tuberculosis control program in the country.
Okay.
And the institute was, there were many institutes. One of the important institutes was National Tuberculosis Institute, which is in Bangalore.
Okay.
Okay. National Tuberculosis Research Laboratory in Chennai.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in the formulation of this program and the research that went on, one of the participants at that time, WHO expert, was Dr. Halfdan Mahler. Dr. Mahler has been the longest serving Director General of WHO. And he was the Director General of WHO when in 1977 the world committed itself to achieve health for all by 2000 AD, through primary healthcare approach. And at that time, Halfdan Mahler had praised the role played by India in the evolving the tuberculosis control program, which served as an example not just for tuberculosis control for the world, but also for laying the foundations of this primary healthcare model of health. Now, after all of this, it so happened that the tuberculosis problem was neglected by the
So why
administrator.
did we fail? We had very good start, I think, in cricket, if I borrow the word, flying a start, and then we lost so many wickets.
No, we failed because the thing is, the priorities of the ruling elite in countries like ours, they are not dictated by the needs of the people.
Okay.
And among the needs of the people, the needs of the overwhelmingly oppressed majority of our population. It is not their priorities, which are the priorities of the government. Even in terms of health, the priorities are dictated from outside. And this is what happened in tuberculosis also. When
Outside means?
outside the
Okay.
world, I mean Western countries,
Okay, so
the dominant
Okay, so what was that dictate?
dictate was, in 97 or something, there were epidemics of tuberculosis, outbreak of tuberculosis in the city of London and in New York also. I may be wrong by a year or so in the exact year, but it happened that way. And the governments were taken aback. How come tuberculosis has come to our country? Because they had assumed it's all taken care of. But then there also you have large sections of populations who have been neglected for many. This outbreak of tuberculosis happened at a time when HIV infection was coming on a big scale around the world. And due to migrant labor and all those kind of things, the Western countries thought that, God, this is going to be dangerous. I mean, our public health will go entirely haywire. So WHO was roamed in, many other international agencies were roamed in, and a new program, revised National Tuberculosis Control Program based on DOTS, that is, these drugs will have to be given for this much period compulsorily to the people, to the patients. Okay, now, and this was imposed. So the lessons which were there from the past, and government reports also thereafter, they said that tuberculosis program failed not because of its design or something, because it was not based on firm scientific principles, but because of government apathy. Okay, all that was forgotten. There was a new dictate and the slogan of WHO, tuberculosis is the problem, DOTS is the solution.
So
now DOTS, let me just complete. DOTS is a very coercive kind of an approach, which totally negates the conditions in which people
I
live.
don't know about DOTS.
DOTS is directly observed treatment, short course,
Okay.
in which there are certain drugs, anti-tuberculous, which are to be given to the patients under supervision. Okay, now there are many aspects of which critique DOTS. Let me not go into that because we don't have time for that. Okay, but then what they did was, this implied one important thing, that you have to ensure that physically ensure that patient takes that treatment. Okay. Now, with respect to US, they found 3,000 cases of tuberculosis in New York City. They actually put the people in jail, gave them medicine, completed their treatment over there, and then left them. Okay. In India, when 4 to 5 lakh people are dying of tuberculosis every year, I mean, this kind of a coercive approach, does it work?
No.
Now, once again, when they had taken care of their anxieties, we are left with to deal with the program distortions which were brought in.
So you mean to say that the questions of tuberculosis were seen from the interest of the West that may work in their context.
Yes.
But our problem is very different.
It became our problem only when West realized it is their problem once again. And how? I'll give you one example. Say, we talked about sociological determinants and the economy and all those kind of things. Forget about that for the time being. Just leave it to health services also. I was visiting as a representative of the central government, one of the districts in eastern UP. I wouldn't name it though right now. And in that district, the tuberculosis control officer of the district, he said, I asked him, because there were many migrant labor from eastern UP, they go to Mumbai and all. Mumbai also has, it is HIV cases, and these migrant labor, they also have casual sex, because they're away from home for so much time and all those kind of things. Okay, I said, what about the cases of MDR TB, multi-drug resistant TB in Europe? He said, Dr. Saab, मैंने अब MDR TB की diagnosis करवाना ही बंद कर दिया है. I said, but why? I have 12 patients on record who have multi-drug resistant TB. The point is, we are not getting iron and folic acid for our pregnant women over here. We are not getting the routine tuberculosis drugs for our patients, those who are sensitive to these drugs. ठीक है? अब MDR TB मैं बता दूं किसी को वो है, वो तो मेरा सर खा जाएगा, मेरे पे जोर, और मैं कहाँ से लाऊंगा दवा?
So the point which you are underscoring, that the government is not even supplying the iron pills for the pregnant women, for the normal cases of people affected with TB.
I am not saying it is not supplying. But the point is, even these most elementary kind of things
are not being done.
They run short.
Okay.
Many of times.
Okay.
They run short. Okay. And tuberculosis, I mean, you know, it's not just a medical problem. Just add to it the stigma.
Very much.
You know, if I knew you have tuberculosis, or you knew that I have tuberculosis, and you're a common person, you know, what would be the reaction? How would I get to be viewed?
I know it.
In my own family itself, and especially when I have just one room to share between 5 or 6 people, you know.
Sir, the stigma part will come to that in a moment. Sir, now I am clubbing two to three questions because you are giving very detailed and answer. The first question is, sir, you have talked about that we had very good start, but we have not gone very far ahead. These days, the government has one scheme which is known as TB Harega Desh Jeetega. And I was also doing some research and I have found out that Niti Aayog is also talking about 120-35 public health surveillance India scheme. And then some people are saying, some experts are saying that we have to reduce, experts are saying that in India must end TB by 2025. If that has to happen, the rate of decline of the cases of TB needs to be more than 20% per year over the next 5 years. So these 2-3 questions may be separate, but they are linked together. So are you hopeful that things will improve, or
See, in 2017, Government of India launched National Tuberculosis Eradication Program. Elimination Program, sorry, not Elimination Program, 2017. I would say only one thing. It is easy to achieve the goals and objectives only in two conditions. When you are determined and you build the resources towards that direction. And second is when you don't want to achieve it. When it is just a matter of declaration. Okay. Leprosy, for that matter, has already been eliminated, quote unquote, eliminated from the country. But India continues to have largest number of new leprosy cases and highest burden of new and old leprosy cases in the world. So we have eliminated leprosy by definition, because these terms, they lend themselves to definitive manipulation through definitions. So likewise, I don't know if they will be coming up with new definition of elimination, but let me tell you, TB is not going anywhere. Can the government provide the data that over last 1 year or so, you know, how many patients of tuberculosis were actually seen, treatment given, and all that?
There is also the case of missing cases.
Yes.
Missing cases means, sir?
When you just, no, I'm just telling you, when you have a running running pandemic, है ना? जब सारी ध्यान कोविड पे है, then you have such a huge scam in places like Bihar and Jharkhand, and there are other places where it has happened as not, where they have not done tests, anything and all that, and they have created all the fuzzy data, and they have said ki they did so many tests, this was the prevalence, that was this.
So it was also a scam.
Oh, this has happened in case of Bihar and Jharkhand with COVID.
Without doing tests,
yes,
the report is being made.
The telephone number which is written is, it is all 10 figure digits are 0. That is happening with COVID.
So friends, Dr. Saab has said very important thing, that even in the case of COVID pandemic, that will not leave anybody rich and poor. Even in that case, in the state of Bihar and other places, the fuzzy data, the fake data was being propped up. That shows that how much our government is really serious about it. Sir, at the time of COVID, we have seen that public health system, whatever little and whatever sorry state they might have been, they came out, they did whatever little service people needed. The private sectors, the private health centers, they were nowhere in the picture. Still, why people are talking about privatizing health infrastructure, incorporating more and more private players? And even I was very much shocked to know this story, that the test at the time of corona pandemic, the private clinics, they were charging huge amount of money. Given the failure of the private sectors for not standing and helping the poor people, the common masses, why the intellectuals, so-called the intellectuals, are talking about privatized health sector? Yes.
See, first of all, it would be a fallacy to call such people intellectuals really, or experts of any kind. If intellect has got anything to do, then it has got to do with your ability to be able to see yourself as part and parcel of society, to be able to perceive the aspirations, the pain, the sorrows, the agonies of the society, and using your intellectual capability, come out with solutions for that.
So privatization
is not a solution. It is the malady. It is the cause of the problem.
Now they are talking about health insurance.
No, what health insurance? We have had tremendous experience of these health insurance schemes. Okay, V. Sujata Rao, the previous, she was secretary, Government of India, and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. After retirement, she wrote a opinion piece in Indian Express about the implementation of Rajiv Arogya Shri scheme in Andhra Pradesh, then United Andhra Pradesh and all, which showed that due to the implementation of Rajiv Arogya Shri scheme, the functioning of good public health facilities, big public health hospitals, their utilization of funds, all came down. Why? Because all the patients were now being directed to private health care. Okay, now गरीबों को भी 5 सितारा उसमें आपको इलाज मिलेगा, तो आपको पेट में क्यों दर्द होता है, ये कह कर के आप उन्माद पैदा कर सकते हैं और चुप करा सकते हैं हमारा मुंह. लेकिन सवाल ये है कि वो गरीब का जितना इंश्योरेंस है, ठीक है, वो तो उसका एक बीमारी में ही झाड़ लेंगे. ठीक है. एंड देयर आर मेनी वेज, मेनी लेबल्स, मेनी थिंग्स विच आर चार्जेबल. These hospitals have gone on record in the highest of the courts to say that free treatment means डॉक्टर की फीस नहीं लगेगी, लेकिन इन्वेस्टिगेशन के तो पैसे लगेंगे. ठीक है. All of that is, even in case of COVID, let me tell you, the government, the bureaucracy and the highest court of the country, they played in tandem in fixing the price for COVID to be tested in private labs at 4,000 rupees per test. At a time when we are having pandemic, there is so much of panic, you've closed down the entire country, you still cannot provide free treatment. Whereas there are capitalist countries who nationalized their health facilities and
also they gave money to workers who lost job due to COVID.
ठीक. तो I mean, privatize, it's when you say कि लोग ऐसा, लोगों की ही सुनी जा रही होती है और लोग जो कह रहे होते हैं, तो बात ही क्या.
लोग कह रहे हैं, some intellectuals who are writing in newspaper, opinion pieces, नीति आयोग में बैठे हैं.
ये intellectuals, ठीक है, उनको मालूम है कि उन्हें अपनी जेब से नहीं देना पड़ेगा. उनके लिए तो कोई ना कोई स्कीम कहीं ना कहीं इंश्योरेंस हो.
Public hospital, dirty place, कुछ नहीं होता है, it's a den of corruptions. But if you don't have money and if you visit any private hospital, you will realize that how much corruption is going on. Sir,
I tell you, the president of Private Hospitals Association in Telangana